All right, today is day 13 of the US Investing Championship. And today I did not make money. In fact, I lost money, but it is still a good day. Now, if you're new to the channel, this series of videos is intended to um, summarize or document rather my 2026 US Investing Championship journey. Um, and then again, as I said, this is day 13, and I am very transparent. I show you my wins, my losses, and what I'm learning in the process. And by doing so, I hope that that will help you in your own trading. And really, um, I want this to be kind of like my trading journal or diary, if you will, so that I can teach the principles of trading stocks and options to my two kids so that they too will learn how to become profitable traders. So, with that out of the way, today I'm going to share with you the impact of news when you're day trading stocks. Okay, but before that, here's the quick update on what's going on or on what happened today. And part of what I'm going to share is what happened at the end of yesterday that I wasn't able to capture those things in my video yesterday. So I'm capturing them today. So one of them is this big loss on PBI. It's a long call. I have 20 contracts. I lost $1,200. Ouch. Almost a 30% loss in there, 29%. But what happened was it hit my price, my stop loss price. The stock went down, so when I entered it before, it was at around 1040, something like that. It went up to 1050. So I was like, oh yeah, this is great, because the option also went up. So I tried to exit and make a small profit, because it's been like kind of like going up, going down, going up, going down. And then, my stop loss is around $10.08. It actually went to $9.99 yesterday. So, you know what? It's, below my 10.08 stop loss, which by the way, that's part of my trading plan. It's already set up way ahead of time where I will exit, and therefore, yeah, there's no negotiation here, right? Uh, it shows that I have to exit, then I exited. Even though, yes, ouch, it's a $1,200 loss, but it is what it is. Okay. Then yesterday as well, late yesterday, I rolled the KGC option from $32 expiring February 20 to $33 also expiring February 20. I collected $210 in credit. Uh, Out of that, that's $255 is profit had I sold it directly, but out of that, I collected $210, which is great, right? I took money off the table while still remaining in the trade because I entered the $4.50 per contract, the $33, long call expiring February 20, right? So if KGC, continues to go up, and I just read today that gold just reached all-time high as I record this video. So KGC will probably skyrocket tomorrow. So hopefully, right? Then, then I'll make money again. I get to roll it again. All right. Now, let me finish first all the options that I did, and then I'll talk about the day trades that I did. Okay. So I also did the same thing on NEM, Newmont Mining. I rolled the $111 call expiring January 30 from $111 to $113. I was concerned because the liquidity is not great. So I collected $286 in credit. Had I sold it completely, I would have collected $660. All right, but that's okay because, again, with gold reaching all-time high, if Newmont Mining goes up even more tomorrow, then I get to make money with it again, right? So, well, had I sold it, it would have made me 43% profit, right? And then, yeah, and then the last option trade that I did today, I bought 100 shares of MSTU because I got a buy signal last night on MSTR. So I decided, okay, you know what? MST used the leverage play on that, so I did that, right? But then yeah, I was thinking, what if MSTU, goes sideways? I saw today that Bitcoin, drop again in price. So I decided, you know what? Let me sell the $10 call option on it, expiring February 20, to collect some income, $76, right? And that will kind of reduce my cost basis, right, by about 9%. And if the price goes up, then I sell at $10. I am forced to sell at $10. So this whole setup here, the capital gains from the $899 average cost to, let's say, it got sold for $10, right? Plus the $76 that I collect, this would have netted me 19.5% gain if the price goes up to $10. But if it doesn't, right, then I reduce my cost basis by, 9%. Now, ideally, right, if the price skyrockets, then I miss out on all that gain. That's the downside of selling call options, right? So yeah, but it is what it is. All right. So total credit collected today is over $500, which is great. And then for day trading, right? So I entered PAPL. It did not turn out to be as good as I thought. I exited immediately. Same thing that happened to SLGB. Entered it and it hit my stop loss, right? Like PAPL has some news, but kind of like I define it as weak news. SLGB, it was the number one pre-market, so that's why, you know what? Yeah, let's try it out. But I entered like a very small position, only $200 in each. And then I realized, yeah, you know what? I mean, if something doesn't have any news, likely, it will go down in price, which is exactly what happened here. And PAVM, I made money on PAVM. I entered it actually pre-market at around 8:25 a.m. at 1384. I entered like a small position again, $200. And then I entered again when the market opened, it hit my buy parameters. So I kind of like doubled down, added 18 shares at 2341. And then what happened was, and then it went down a little bit. And then I added again. And then it went down substantially, well, substantially is relative, I guess, 10%. So I decided to sell some of it, 32 shares at $19, 13 cents. And then about almost an hour actually after that, the price skyrocketed and it hit my take profit. So I sold the remaining 21 shares, and the overall P&L on that one is $121.97 for an 11.55% profit, which is great, not bad. So overall, not a profitable day, but it's still a good day because I followed my plan, which is, one of the wins today. I followed my plans both with the day trading and with the options trading. Okay. And then I kept my losses small with day trading with starter position of just $200. So especially psychologically, like because one of the things that I've learned today, which I kind of know this already, is that a lot of times this day trading stocks that skyrocket, right? A lot of times they make the majority of the moves of their moves during pre-market, right? So I was thinking, you know what? What if we just put $200 in here, right? And then if the price goes down, it goes down, let's say by 50%, fine. I lose 50%, I lose $50 on the hand. Well, I lose $100 on a $200 investment, so to speak, right? And that's okay, totally acceptable if that happens, right? But of course, I have a 15% stop loss. So really, worst case scenario, that's $30, right? So but at the same time, I did the trade because I knew going in, three things are aligned. One, the stock has gone up by way more than 10%. At this point, it went up by actually more than almost 100%. Two, the volume is there. The relative volume is actually more than 10 times, which is great. And then three, it has real news. And later on, I'll talk about what that means. What do you mean real news? Are there fake news, right? So, lesson for today, entering pre-market again makes sense for some stocks because they make the majority of their moves pre-market, right? And then having a position size where, you know, I felt comfortable losing it. In fact, even losing like half of it, right? Putting it in pre-market and being prepared for that loss. Psychologically, it's great. I feel relaxed. Like, hey, worst case scenario, I lose. So what? It's not. It's very tiny compared with my, accounts total, right? So, anytime that a trading strategy will help in your psychology, then do that, right? Because if not, if you're like sweating bullets, seeing those big drawdowns, right? Then your position sizing is probably too large. Okay, if you feel uncomfortable with that, right? With the drawdown, then yeah, your position sizing, you probably need to cut it in half, right? Because your psychology needs to come into play because if not, I mean, well, first, it's unrealistic to think that you don't need it, right? That, hey, you know what? Based on my back testing, this thing will make like, 400% in the next, 12 months, right? Then, therefore, I'll go all in, right? But when you look at the drawdown based on the back testing, let's say the drawdown is 80%, right? Now, is it realistic for you to continue trading when you see your account size go down by 80%? So you start with $10,000 and then because of this trading strategy that you back tested, you end up like losing, $8,000. So now $2,000 left in your account. Like most people will stop trading at that point, right? So, whereas if you have a strategy that maybe it only makes like 100% return in the next 12 months and the drawdown is 30%, you start with 10,000, worst case scenario, it goes on to 7, a lot of people can hold on to it, right? And then they make 100% on their money, right? So that's why psychology, is very important, so with that out of the way, let's talk about news, right? Why should you look for a stock with news? Meaning a stock that you day trade. And in fact, if you think about it, this is also true even if you hold, even if you do swing trades or you do buy and hold actually, right? Because if you look for a stock with news, right? Then you can understand what's moving the stock. What is it really that's moving the stock, right? Why is it going higher? Okay. Second, will this stock attract more buyers, right? Will the volume increase even further? Okay? Because if there's no news, then maybe it's not sustainable, right? This is the third point here. Is the move sustainable, throughout the day? Or if you're doing swing trading, is the move sustainable in the next few weeks? Or maybe it's only sustainable today, but it will die down, right? Then it will revert back to the mean. Then now you're looking at a drawdown, right? So now here's an example of no news. There are three types, and I'll show you. Regardless, I bought each of these stocks today. Okay, one is SLGB. SLGB, by the time that I bought the stock, it was actually the number one stock in the market. In fact, it's the number one stock during pre-market, like 110% return. By the time that I took a screenshot of the news, it's only a 50%, right? And this the reason this and it's funny when I read this news, it basically says there's no news. Okay, so anytime you check the news and the stock, the news is, hey, the stock has gone higher, and that's the news, then it means that's a no news, right? It just went higher and that's the news. So it's like, what is the real reason why it went up? Well, nobody knows, right? So therefore, there's no news. Second, here's an example of what I call weak news. And this one is on Pineapple Financial, ticker symbol PAPL. And what happened was, they gave an outlook to investors on what's to expect in 2026. It's like, okay, in terms of revenue and in terms of, they call it gross billings. Well, I mean, sharing your outlook for the year, yes, it moved the stock, but to me, that's kind of like weak news, right? Because anyone, can give an outlook, a positive outlook, right? But the question is that realistic? Will investors believe it, right? And is it reasonable, right? Or maybe it's, too optimistic, right? So now here's an example of real news. And this is why PAVM shut up the most, right? It was sustainable during the day. In fact, during pre-market, it was second only to SLGB at around 90 plus percent, and then really sometimes PVM is higher than SGLB or SLGB. I forgot now the exact ticker here, but you get the idea, right? So, but because it has real news, I put more money in it, right? I opened up with the starting position pre-market on the $200, and then I added enough capital in there that the total capital I spent is about $1,000. All right. And good thing I did because that's the only day trade that actually worked for the day. Okay. And overall, just from the day trading, yes, it's very tiny, $7 to $8. My day trading account size really, I have two accounts for the US Investing Championship, a $30,000 account and a 3,000 $4,000 account for day trading and a $30,000 account for options trading. And so, with a $4,000 account, which actually yesterday I lost money on day trading. So it's down to like around $3,600, right? So $78 divided by $3,600. I mean, that's 2.17%, return overall on the capital, right? Overall account size rather, but really on the capital that I used, right? I mean, I use a capital of roughly, no, 1,400. Yep, 1,400. So $78 divided by 1,400 in capital, it's 5.6%, which is pretty good. All right. So with that, if you like this video, if this is beneficial to you, definitely like this video. And if you don't want to miss any of the days, any of my daily updates, right? If you want to follow my journey to hopefully place, 10th place or better in the US Investing Championship for 2026, subscribe to this video, subscribe to my channel. It's free to do so. You can always unsubscribe if you want, right? But my hope is, by documenting my journey, it benefits you, right? Well, first, it benefits me. Second, it benefits my kids. And then, third, it benefits you, right? So that you too can become a better and more profitable either options or stock trading or both, right? So with that, if you want to know why 90% of traders lose 90% of their account, click on this next video and I will see you there.